Blind date disaster? The poor mechanic sat at the wrong table, met CEO's
Yes, that sounds
paralyzed
perfect.
daughter.
Okay, I'll see you then.
Hello
Bye.
everyone, and welcome back to Romance Rewind Stories.
Quer casar comigo?
Before we
Sim, eu
dive into
aceito.
Eu
today's
te amo.
incredible story,
Eu também te amo.
I have a small favor to ask. If you're enjoying these heartwarming tales, please hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our latest uploads. It's quick, it's free, and it's the best way to support us in bringing you more emotional romance stories. And here's something I'd love to know. Where are you watching from today? Drop your city or country in the comments below. I always enjoy seeing our amazing community from around the world. Oh, and if this story touches your heart, don't forget to hit the like button. It really helps us grow and reach more people who love these kinds of tales. Now let's get into today's story. Blind date disaster. The poor mechanic sat at the wrong table and met the CEO's paralyzed daughter. Ash Dalton was 20 minutes late to his blind date, covered in engine grease and wearing the cleanest t-shirt he owned, which admittedly wasn't very clean. He'd really tried to leave the auto shop on time, to go home and shower and change into something decent. But Mrs. Chen's car had needed emergency repairs before she could pick up her grandkids from school, and Ash couldn't say no to a 70-year-old woman who'd brought him homemade dumplings every week for the past 3 years. So here he was, rushing into the waterfront, Seattle's most expensive restaurant, where his best friend Marcus had somehow convinced him to meet a woman named Jade, who was supposedly perfect for him, looking like he'd just wrestled an engine and lost. The hostess looked at him like he'd tracked mud into a museum. "Can I help you?" "I'm meeting someone. Reservation should be under Marcus Chen. Or maybe Jade, I'm not sure. Table for 2, 7 p.m. The hostess checked her list, her nose wrinkling slightly. "Right this way." She led Ash through the restaurant, past tables with white tablecloths and crystal glasses, and people who definitely didn't have grease under their fingernails. Ash felt increasingly out of place with every step. "Here you are," the hostess said, gesturing to a table by the window. Ash barely glanced at the woman sitting there before sliding into the chair across from her. "I'm so sorry I'm late. There was this emergency with a carburetor and I couldn't just leave Mrs. Chen stranded and—" He looked up and froze. The woman across from him was not what he'd expected from a blind date. She was beautiful, dark hair pulled back, striking blue eyes, elegant dress, but that wasn't what made Ash stop mid-sentence. It was the wheelchair beside the table, and the way she sat very still, her hands folded in her lap, in a position that looked practiced rather than natural. "I think you have the wrong table," the woman said softly. Her voice was gentle but firm. "I'm not expecting anyone." Ash glanced around frantically and spotted another woman sitting alone 3 tables over, checking her phone impatiently. That was probably his actual blind date. "Oh God, I'm so sorry. I wasn't paying attention," and Ash started to stand up. "Wait," the woman said. "Please, don't leave yet." Ash hesitated. "I really did sit at the wrong table. I'm supposed to be meeting someone." "I know. I heard you tell the hostess, but—" She smiled slightly, and something about that smile made Ash's heart skip. "Would you mind sitting with me for just a minute? I've been alone at this table for 45 minutes and I could really use the company, even if it's the wrong company." Ash looked at the woman 3 tables over, his actual blind date, who was now texting furiously and looking annoyed. Then he looked at the woman in front of him, who had asked him to stay with such quiet vulnerability that he couldn't possibly say no. "Yeah, okay, just for a minute." Ash sat back down. "I'm Ash, by the way. Ash Dalton. I'm Iris Montgomery." She tilted her head slightly. "You said something about a carburetor." "Oh, yeah, I'm a mechanic. I was working late and came straight here without changing because I was already running late and—" Ash gestured at his stained t-shirt. This is the cleanest thing I had at the shop. I know I look like a disaster. You look like someone who prioritizes helping people over appearances. That's not a disaster. That's admirable." Iris's smile grew slightly. "What was wrong with Mrs. Chen's carburetor?" "How did you know it was Mrs. Chen's car?" "You mentioned her by name. I'm observant." Ash found himself relaxing slightly. Her carburetor was shot. The car's a 1998 Honda Civic with 300,000 miles on it, and she refuses to replace it because her late husband bought it for her. So I keep it running, even though, honestly, she'd be better off with something newer. But you keep fixing it anyway because you know what it means to her. Yeah, exactly. Ash looked at Iris with surprise. Most people don't get that. They just tell me I'm enabling her to drive an unsafe car. Most people don't understand that things have meaning beyond their practical value. A 1998 Honda isn't just a car to Mrs. Chen. It's a connection to someone she loved. You're preserving that connection. That's really beautiful, actually. Ash felt something warm bloom in his chest. You get it. I get it. Iris looked down at her hands. I've spent the last 2 years in physical therapy trying to regain movement in my legs after a car accident. Logically, the doctors tell me I should accept that I'll never walk again, but I keep going to therapy anyway because giving up feels like losing the last piece of who I was before the accident. So, yes, I understand holding on to things even when it's not practical. I'm sorry, Ash said quietly, about the accident. Thank you. It changed everything. My life, my future, how people look at me, how I look at myself. Iris met his eyes. Can I ask you something? Anything. Why did you agree to sit with me instead of going to your actual blind date? Ash thought about this. Because you asked me to. And because something about the way you asked made me think you really needed someone to talk to, even if that someone was a complete stranger who sat at the wrong table. I did need someone to talk to. I've been sitting here alone, watching happy couples have dinner and feeling... Iris stopped, emotion flickering across her face. Feeling invisible, like I'm taking up space in this beautiful restaurant, but nobody actually sees me. I see you, Ash said simply. Iris looked at him, and something shifted in the air between them. Yes, you do. They talked for 20 minutes before Ash's phone buzzed with an angry text from Marcus. Dude, Jade just left. She said you were a no-show. What happened? Ash looked at the message, then at Iris, then made a decision that probably wasn't smart, but felt absolutely right. My blind date left, he told Iris, which means I'm free for dinner. Would you... I know we just met and I sat at your table by mistake, but would you like to have dinner with me? Officially, I mean, not just because I'm confused about which table is which. Iris laughed, a real surprised laugh that lit up her whole face. Are you asking me on a date? I'm asking if you'd like to turn this accidental encounter into an intentional dinner. So, yes, I guess I am asking you on a date. Ash, look at me. I'm in a wheelchair. I can't walk. I need help with basic things most people take for granted. Are you sure? I'm sure I want to have dinner with you. Everything else, we'll figure out as we go. Ash smiled. Besides, you're the first person I've met in months who actually gets why I keep fixing Mrs. Chen's ancient car. That alone makes you worth having dinner with. Iris studied him for a long moment. Okay. Yes, let's have dinner. That dinner lasted 3 hours. They talked about everything. Ash's work at the auto shop, Iris's life before the accident when she'd been a professional photographer, their favorite books and movies and childhood memories. Ash learned that Iris was the daughter of James Montgomery, CEO of Montgomery Industries, a fact she mentioned casually and without any of the pretension Ash might have expected. My father is very protective since the accident, Iris said. He thinks I can't handle anything on my own anymore. He hired a full-time caregiver, moved me into his house, monitors everything I do. It's suffocating. What do you want? I want my independence back. I want to live on my own again, even if I need some assistance. I want to take photographs again, even if I have to do it from a seated position. Iris paused. I want people to see me as more than my wheelchair. For what it's worth, I do see you as more than your wheelchair, Ash said. I see someone who's brave enough to keep fighting for what they've lost. Someone who understands that meaning matters more than practicality. Someone who's been sitting alone in an expensive restaurant for 45 minutes and instead of leaving, decided to give a grease-covered mechanic a chance when he sat at the wrong table. Iris's eyes filled with tears. Thank you for sitting at the wrong table. Thank you for asking me to stay. When dinner ended, Ash walked Iris out to the valet, where a sleek black car and a driver were waiting. Can I see you again? Ash asked. I'd like that. But Ash, you should know that dating me is complicated. I have limitations. I need help with things. I can't just spontaneously go hiking or... I work with engines for a living. Complicated doesn't scare me, and as for limitations, everyone has them. Yours are just more visible. Ash pulled out his phone. Can I have your number? Iris gave him her number, and Ash helped her into the car, learning as he did that she could transfer herself, but appreciated the offered assistance. As the car pulled away, Iris looked back at him through the window, and Ash felt like he'd just experienced something rare and precious. He called her the next day, and the day after that, and every day for the next 2 weeks. They went on actual dates, adapted ones. A museum where Ash pushed Iris's wheelchair, and she told him about the art with the eye of a photographer. A movie theater that had wheelchair-accessible seating. A park where they fed ducks and talked for hours. Ash learned the practical realities of dating someone who used a wheelchair. He learned about accessible restaurants and ramps, and the 1,000 small ways the world wasn't designed for people like Iris. He learned to offer help without assuming she needed it, to ask rather than take over, to respect her independence while being supportive. He also learned that Iris was one of the strongest, most resilient people he'd ever met. She navigated a world that constantly reminded her of what she'd lost with grace and determination. She laughed easily, loved deeply, and saw beauty everywhere, despite her own struggles. 3 months into their relationship, Ash met Iris's father. James Montgomery was exactly what Ash expected. Intimidating, wealthy, and clearly skeptical of the grease-under-his-nails mechanic dating his daughter. "So you're the mechanic," James said, looking Ash up and down in his office at Montgomery Industries. "Iris talks about you constantly. I hope that's a good thing." "That depends. What are your intentions with my daughter?" "To make her happy, to support her independence, to be the partner she deserves. My daughter is paralyzed. She needs constant care. She needs support, not constant care. There's a difference. Iris is capable of far more than you give her credit for." Ash kept his voice respectful but firm. "With all due respect, Mr. Montgomery, you're so busy protecting Iris from the world that you're not letting her live in it." James's expression hardened. "And you think you know what's best for my daughter after 3 months? No, but I think Iris knows what's best for Iris. And maybe we should both start listening to her instead of deciding for her." There was a long silence. Then James said, "She wants to move out, into an accessible apartment. She asked me to help her find one." "I know. She told me." "Do you support this?" "Completely. Iris deserves her independence. She deserves to prove to herself that she can manage on her own, with assistance when she needs it, but on her own terms." James studied Ash for a long moment. "You really care about her." "I love her. And before you ask if I'm sure or if I understand what I'm getting into, yes, I'm sure. I understand exactly what I'm getting into. I'm getting into a relationship with someone extraordinary who happens to use a wheelchair. The wheelchair is the least interesting thing about her. Something shifted in James's expression. She said you'd say that. Did she also tell you that I sat at her table by mistake? That our whole relationship started because I was late to a blind date and sat in the wrong seat? She did. She calls it fate. I called it a disaster waiting to happen. James smiled slightly, the first genuine smile Ash had seen. I'm starting to think she might be right. 6 months after sitting at the wrong table, Ash helped Iris move into her own accessible apartment. It was small, but perfect. Ground floor, wide doorways, roll-in shower, everything designed for wheelchair accessibility. James had helped with the modifications, but to his credit had stepped back and let Iris make the decisions about what she needed and wanted. On moving day, Ash and Iris sat on her new balcony, watching the sunset. I can't believe this is mine, Iris said, looking around with wonder. My own place, my own space. No one monitoring everything I do or treating me like I'm fragile. You're not fragile. You're the strongest person I know. Ash, I need to tell you something. I've been working with a new physical therapist. She thinks there might be a chance, a small chance, that I could regain some movement in my legs. Not walking necessarily, but maybe standing with support, maybe a few steps with a walker. That's incredible. Why didn't you tell me? Because I didn't want to get your hopes up, or mine. But I've been working so hard, and Ash, I felt something yesterday, just a twitch, but it was something, the first something in 2 years. Ash pulled her close. Whatever happens, whether you walk again or not, I'm here. You know that, right? I'm not with you because I'm hoping you'll be fixed. I'm with you because you're you. I know. That's why I felt safe telling you, because I know you love me regardless. Iris kissed him softly. Thank you for sitting at the wrong table. Best mistake I ever made. 1 year after they met, Iris took her first steps. They were shaky, uncertain steps with a walker and Ash on one side and her physical therapist on the other. Just 5 steps from her wheelchair to the parallel bars in the therapy room. But they were steps. Iris cried. Ash cried. Even the physical therapist cried. I did it, Iris gasped, exhausted and exhilarated. I actually did it. You did it, Ash confirmed, helping her back into her wheelchair. You're amazing. But what Ash loved most was that even with the possibility of walking again, Iris never stopped being herself. She didn't suddenly consider her wheelchair a temporary burden to be discarded. She approached her recovery the same way she approached everything, with grace, determination, and an understanding that progress wasn't linear. Some days were good. Some days her legs didn't cooperate at all. Some days she could walk 20 steps. Some days she couldn't get out of bed without help. And through all of it, Ash was there. Not as a caretaker or a savior, but as a partner who loved her through every triumph and setback. 2 years after sitting at the wrong table, Ash proposed. He did it in the Waterfront, the same restaurant where they'd met. He'd arranged with the management to have them seated at that exact table by the window. Do you remember this place? Ash asked as they sat down. Iris looked around, and recognition dawned on her face. This is where we met. This is the wrong table. This is the exactly right table, because if I hadn't sat here by mistake, I never would have met you. I never would have fallen in love with the strongest, most beautiful, most extraordinary person I've ever known. Ash got down on one knee beside her wheelchair. Iris Montgomery, will you marry me? Iris was crying and laughing at the same time. Yes, yes, absolutely yes. The ring Ash slid onto her finger wasn't expensive. He was still a mechanic after all, but it was perfect. And as other diners in the restaurant applauded, Ash kissed his fiancée and thought about how the best things in life often came from mistakes. They got married 6 months later in a beautiful, accessible venue with ramps and wide doorways and everything needed for their friends and family, some of whom used wheelchairs, some of whom didn't. Iris walked down the aisle with her father's support and a walker. It was slow and difficult, and halfway there she paused, exhausted. Ash started to go to her, but James shook his head slightly and whispered something to Iris. She took a breath and kept going, one step at a time, until she reached Ash, where she transitioned to her wheelchair and smiled up at him with tears streaming down her face. "Hi," she said. "Hi," he said back. "You're incredible." During his vows, Ash said, "I sat at the wrong table 2 years ago and found the right person. Iris, you've taught me that strength has nothing to do with walking and everything to do with getting up every day and fighting for what you want. You've shown me that love isn't about fixing someone or saving them. It's about supporting them exactly as they are while they become who they want to be. I love you. Wheelchair or no wheelchair, walking or not walking, I love exactly who you are." During her vows, Iris said, "You saw me when I felt invisible. You sat at my table when you could have walked away. You stayed when things got complicated. Ash, you've never treated me like I need to be fixed or saved. You've treated me like I'm exactly enough just as I am. That's the greatest gift anyone has ever given me. I love you, and I'm so grateful you sat at the wrong table." Because sometimes the best relationships start with mistakes. Sometimes sitting at the wrong table leads you to exactly the right person. And sometimes the poor mechanic covered in grease who crashes a blind date becomes the perfect partner for the CEO's daughter, proving that love isn't about perfection or overcoming obstacles, but about seeing someone exactly as they are and choosing them, wheelchair and all, every single day. And that's where our story ends today. What did you think? Did Ash and Iris's story of a wrong table becoming forever love touch your heart? Let us know in the comments what your favorite moment was. If you enjoyed this story, we have so many more waiting for you. Check out our playlist for more heartwarming romance tales. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and give us a thumbs up. Your support means everything to us. Until next time, keep believing in love. Keep believing that the right person sees you exactly as you are. And remember, sometimes the best things in life come from sitting at the wrong table. See you in the next story.